everyone, and welcome to After GMS. It is a Tuesday morning, the 27th already. We are steamrolling it close to October already. I'm Tracy McCain, here with Ed Matthews and Megan Malaris.
I can't believe we're almost done with September, but right on the money, it seems. Hurricane season really started to ramp up. The water is warm. You know, we were quiet for so long, and then now several storms in the Atlantic. Yeah.
Absolutely, and of course, the closest one to us, just off the northwest coast of Cuba, is Ian. And that's the one we're going to be concerned about through the upcoming weekend. Latest information, the satellite view just shows a well-defined hurricane here. This is a 5 a.m. advisory. Hopefully just before 8 o'clock, we're going to get an updated intermediate advisory. I think maybe the storm has weakened a little bit as it's moved off the western tip of Cuba. You can see the eye right near the northwest coast. Now, once that eye moves back over the very toasty, warm waters of the southeastern Gulf of Mexico, this thing is going to skyrocket in wind speeds. And we think that over the next 24 hours, it is likely to become a Category 4. It's a Category 3 now, with sustained winds of 125 miles per hour. If it reaches Category 4, those winds could top out near 140 miles per hour. A very dangerous storm even now as it's been moving through the western tip of Cuba this morning. Updated forecast track of the last advisory shows it as a Category 4 storm by tomorrow. The bit of good news here, and this is great news, when it kind of maxes out as a Category 4, it's going to be well off the peninsula of Florida. Now, southwest Florida around Naples and Fort Myers, they're still going to get some very gusty winds and some very heavy rainfall. And then the official forecast track bends the storm a little bit to the northeast. Now, that's the next potential turn that we're going to really watch closely, because that turn would bring it closer to the Tampa Bay area, possibly as a Category 3 storm with winds of 120 miles per hour. I think anywhere from the Tampa Bay area and points north along the west coast, north of Tampa, are going to have some rather destructive winds, beginning as early as late Wednesday, but really ramping up Wednesday night and into the day on Thursday. And then, depending on how that northeasterly turn plays out, landfall somewhere north of Tampa as we go into late Thursday and Friday, weakening to a tropical storm. And then it slowly, and this is the key phrase here, slowly moves our way. On Saturday, the remnant low is in South Georgia. 24 hours later, it's in the upstate of South Carolina on Sunday. But by then, sustained winds at 30 miles per hour. With high pressure building up over New England, there will be kind of a developing pressure gradient over the eastern part of the United States. So even though the storm will just be a remnant low by the time it gets to the Carolinas over the weekend, we could potentially have some wind gusts 35, maybe upwards of 40 miles per hour. That forecast is still very fluid, and we're going to change it as we see any changes in the track over the next several days. And you know what? Confidence is running high in the track until it gets over Florida. Some models take it off the northeast coast of Florida near Jacksonville. Some bring it up the east coast, others carry it farther west, but there is a bit more of a consensus of a track up through Georgia and central, south, and North Carolina through the upcoming weekend. The point I make here is that official track I just showed you is not etched in stone. What we're looking at based on the current data, Ian is now, of course, a major hurricane, and it's going to get even stronger. Possible landfall around Tampa or north of Tampa Wednesday night or during the day on Thursday. Here locally, we stay dry probably into Friday. And then as we go into late Friday, Friday night, and the weekend, well, the weekend looks wet, off and on rain showers. And based on the current data, and again, this is subject to change, this is the reason I put the big question marks there, we could rack up several inches of rain. We're pretty dry, so I think we can handle some rain. We couldn't rule out some pockets of flash flooding, but we'll know more about that possibility as we head into the weekend and we know the exact track. Wind gusts with that pressure gradient setting up and down the East Coast, maybe a 35, 40 mile per hour wind gust. It'll become breezy late Thursday, and then the breezes just kind of ramp up on Friday and over the weekend. And in the meantime, we're going to see some great weather here in the Piedmont. High pressure builds over the region. A secondary front brings more dry air into the Piedmont later Wednesday and Wednesday night. And this dry air and very low dew points are going to help to really chip away at the strength of the system as it slowly moves up through Georgia and the Carolinas. Now, although we're very dry now, the tropical moisture will overcome that dryness, but that dryness again is going to help to further weaken the storm once it moves over land. Today, beautiful, mostly sunny, 74. Sun and clouds near 70 tomorrow. We'll really start to see the clouds build on Thursday, keeping it dry, 68. And I think the first part of Friday dry. We'll call it afternoon rain as we notice the breezes up a little bit. And rainy and breezy coming up on Saturday. And with the anticipated slow movement of the remnant low, we're going to keep a chance of some showers in through Sunday and Sunday night, and maybe even early on Monday. Now, hopefully we'll see the storm kind of move on out and we'll be able to clean up later Sunday and Monday. But indications are now that the remnant low is going to slow down as it moves through the Carolinas this weekend. And of course, our weekend is looking wet.
All right, so a lot to unravel there. Of course, our team will keep you updated on WFMYnews2.com. If you have not downloaded the News 2 app yet, please do so now. It's your best resource when these guys are not on the air to get that weather information straight to the palm of your hand.
Yeah, that's a good source. You've got your own weather station right in your hand. You can see the radar, you can see the track. We keep that app populated with the very latest information on Ian.
So you touched on it a little bit on the Good Morning Show. I think people here are concerned, even if we don't get the big impacts of a direct hurricane hit, which thankfully that's not expected. We are expected to get a lot of rain. We've been really dry. Sometimes when we're dry, you know, that water kind of just builds up because it can't absorb in the ground.
Right.
But you say that's not really a major concern as far as
It's
flooding.
not a concern at this point, but we'll, you know, the confidence will build as we head towards the weekend. We still couldn't rule out maybe some pockets of flash flooding. It has to do really with the rain rate.
Okay.
We know that, you know, quite often tropical systems can just give you a deluge of rain, even after the winds have really died down. It is a big plus that we're really pretty dry.
Okay.
We could use the rain. I don't suggest getting it from a tropical system. But I think initially the ground will be able to absorb the rain. But as we move into later Saturday and on into Sunday, we just got to see, first of all, the big factor is going to be exactly where that remnant low goes. But we'll have to be mindful somewhat of the wind, but also more so really the rain rate and the amount of rain. And that'll get clearer as we head into Friday and the weekend.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Perfect. Well, you are certainly keeping us informed. Melita says thank you so much for doing that, Ed.
Sure thing. Sure thing. Right. We want to keep everybody safe.
We do. Let's get to some morning headlines and then we'll have another talker. We start with Ian making landfall in Cuba overnight. As Ed said, as a Category 3, shelters are set up on the island where they're preparing for up to 14 feet of storm surge. In Florida, especially towns on the eastern side of the Panhandle, are boarding up and figuring out next steps. There are mandatory evacuation orders in place as state leaders tell people to board up and get out.
So we will get rain and wind from Ian later this week. And while it won't be as strong a system by the time it gets here, you do need to prepare now. Trees are the leading cause of power outages and damage to homes and vehicles. So tree removal companies recommend you get a licensed professional to get rid of weak trees and cut any loose limbs around your home.
Asheboro police are investigating after finding 2 women dead of apparent gunshot wounds in a house on Hamlin Street yesterday. Police say they were 68-year-old Fatima Alston and her granddaughter, 33-year-old Tiana Sesmis. It's unclear the circumstances that preceded the shooting, but police say they are not looking for a suspect.
And in your national headlines, a Capitol riot suspect was arrested in Guilford County over the weekend. Daryl Neely was out on pretrial release for over a year before the arrest, but had stopped showing up to court in Washington, D.C. A warrant was issued and law enforcement arrested him while he was in North Carolina. Neely is charged with entering the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021 during the riots.
2 High Point firefighters are recovering after a furniture plant caught fire yesterday. Investigators say it started as a dust issue in a silo. A flash fire erupted as workers emptied it. 2 of the firefighters on scene went to the hospital with 1st and 2nd degree burns. The injuries are thankfully not life-threatening, and 1 firefighter already has come home.
All right, so it's time to have a little bit of fun this morning. I know all the conversations about Hurricane Ian kind of get us in that prep mode, but let's take a moment, smile a little bit, and think about chocolate milk, because it is National Chocolate Milk Day. Did you know that chocolate milk was introduced to England in the late 1600s? Maybe not, but now you know. Irish-born physician Sir Hans Sloane was in Jamaica when he encountered a local drink of cocoa and water. He didn't like it very much, but he decided to make his own version by replacing the water with milk. When he returned to England, he started showing people the new recipe, and there are some that were sold as medicine as well.
All right, so the founders of Chocolate Milk Day say to celebrate, it's really easy. Just pour yourself a cup of chocolate milk and enjoy. We're asking you here on our feed, just a fun chat. What's your favorite kind of milk? Do you love it? Do you not? I admittedly am not a huge milk lover. I've never really liked it, but my mom always tried to encourage us to drink it for the calcium. And so I try to do the same with my kids. But for me, I've really taken to almond milk lately. I know it's not real milk, but it does have some good calcium. And so I figure that's better than nothing.
Yeah, growing up, we didn't have like choices like that. It was either whole milk or you made chocolate milk, you know? And then later it was like, oh, this comes already made. Perfect. But I just drink the regular milk. You know, whatever my kids want, I want, and that's pretty much it. I don't drink enough of it, probably, unless it's in my cereal. So I could probably use a little bit more, but if I'm drinking it whole.
Yeah, the almond milk, you mentioned almond milk. Have you had the vanilla almond milk? That's just a little bit of an extra flavor.
A little flavor, some extra sugar. That's the kind I drink.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
You know.
Well, my diabetes doctor likes for me to drink the almond milk with the low carbs and sugar. But now, if I had my way, I would drink whole milk. But I've kind of weaned myself off of that. Of course, with my diabetes, I got to be extra careful. But my real favorite is a big, tall glass of chocolate milk.
Well, then you're celebrating today.
Today is your day, Matthew.
Yeah.
That is so funny. Lakaya said her daughter made a chocolate almond milk frozen beverage this weekend. It was amazing. She said like a Frosty that you'd get from Wendy's or something.
Nice.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, you can make some really good things if you have a blender at home. I make smoothies and milkshakes for my kids, and they love it.
Diane has a glass every night before she goes to bed. Knights loves Nestle Quick Chocolate Milk. LeVar says chocolate milk is the best.
All right. Well, you are the best meteorologist in
thank you.
the triad, I will have to say. So why don't you give us a quick...
sweet.
I am. To give a quick wrap up here.
Just buttering you up, Ed.
Yeah, there you go.
Hopefully better
I know what
forecast
you
this
want. You want a dry weekend.
Exactly.
And it's not looking like that right now. Let's go to the graphics. I was hoping, and we did. Again, just like yesterday, we got an update. Here's the 8 o'clock advisory, hot off the press. With the storm moving through western Cuba, it hasn't gotten any stronger. Over land, the eye over western Cuba, still a Category 3, winds of 125 miles per hour, but as it moves off the north shore and it gets into water that is as warm as the low and mid 80s over the southeastern part of the Gulf of Mexico, this thing is going to take off, and we think it will really strengthen into a Category 4 storm later today and tonight. Locally, more dry days to come. Enjoy them while they last. We'll be in the mid-70s today, near 70, sun and clouds on Wednesday. And then we start to notice mid and high level clouds start to build on Thursday, keeping it dry in 68. And I think the first part of Friday dry, but the breezes start to pick up. We'll have the combination of high pressure to the north and, of course, the remnant low of Ian heading our way. So a little pressure gradient is going to kick up the breeze somewhat, but nothing significant for Friday and through the weekend. I think the more widespread rain will be Friday night through Saturday night, but with the anticipated slow movement, we keep rain in until early on Monday morning. Maybe we'll be able to clean up that Sunday and Monday forecast, but indications are this remnant low will slow down as it moves through the Carolinas.
All right, that's a great timeline, kind of leading us up to what is to come on Friday, especially as we're trying to sort out our weekend plans to see if things are still happening in our area or not. So great heads up.
Yep.
All right, we have to get ready for the 9 a.m. show on our main channel, WFMY News 2. We hope you can tune us in for another great edition of the Good Morning Show at 9.
All right, get out there and get to it. Have a wonderful day.